How's it going, everybody? My name is Artorigold, and today I want to talk about Hammond, or Wrecking Ball, or just Ball, or Hamster, or I don't know. There's so many different names for him. We need to get on the same page here, guys, because seriously, I'm not sure what everybody calls him, but it's always something different. Anyways, so in this game, I'm going to be at my placement games. I think a lot of people are in their placements. I'm not sure where this is probably going to be. It might be somewhere around master level. So overall, I think Hammond finds a place as a disruptor tank and really excels at being really mobile, concentrating on knocking enemies around and slamming, and not committing to too many fights unless you know you're going to get the kill, somebody's really low. Your damage output with your primary weapon isn't that great. It's okay, but typically what you want to do is exactly what I did there. You basically just want to look to go in, use your grapple on some really nice piece of area where you can get on the high ground, and then just slam on someone. And before you go in, I think you should wait. Every opportunity you can to wait for a slam, do it. It's like a 10 or 9 second cooldown, right? And what you want to do is you want to go in, slam, and then use your shields and roll out of there. You don't want to stay in any fight. You want to try to be cautious on who you're diving against. For example, if that's a McCree right there, he's just going to flashbang you and you're going to die, such as what just happened right there. Some of the hard counters to Hammond are things that stop his mobility. So a Brig Bash, a McCree stun, a Roadhog hook, Earth Shatter, or a pen can be pretty deadly. Having a May or Sombra freeze or hack you makes you a really sad hamster. But typically I think that Hammond works best on certain maps. Generally ones where you're able to get a lot of high ground, things that you can grapple onto, and then just basically just be able to bully people from places that are easy to access. Things like Gibraltar. I think Gibraltar is a pretty decent Hammond map. There's a lot of high ground. There's a lot of things for you to grapple onto. So one of those things right there, usually I wouldn't commit to a fight, but I mean, clearly this Widowmaker is somewhere else. I don't know what this Widowmaker is doing or what she's even looking at. Maybe she was looking at the Zenyatta there, but this is what's great about Hammond. Basically, you want to look to distract people, you want to slam people, you want to use your ult when they're all grouped up. Ideally, with your ult usage, you want to use it. So I didn't do it right here. This was kind of a mistake. But typically, the combo with your ultimate is use your grapple, and then you go into the air, and right before you slam, you use your ult. So in this situation, I'm slamming. But what I should be doing is I should be using my ult and then slam on the ground. Because then by the time, because there's like, as you can see the mines, they'll sit on the ground and then they'll kind of like go up a little bit and then they'll sit up here and then they'll be activated. There's like a little bit of delay before the mines are actually active. And so what you're going to do is by using your mines first and then slamming, everybody's going to still be knocked into the air and then the mines are going to be activated after they land. So it basically makes your mines a lot more effective. However, in this situation, I didn't do that, and so that's a mistake. Personally, I don't play Hammond too much. He's rather new, and so I haven't really put in the playtime on him, I admit. But I do understand his playstyle, especially from watching other pros play him, and from being in a lot of scrims where I see a lot of people running Hammond. And one of the things about Hammond is I think he has a really high skill ceiling. Like, his skill ceiling is really high up there, and he does a lot of damage potential. But one of the big things about Hammond is, if you know how to play Hammond very well, he's very unstoppable unless the enemy team swaps. Like, you absolutely need to swap to a Sombra in order to shut down a really effective Hammond. If Hammond isn't really getting that much value, or if the enemy team is just ignoring you as Hammond, then you're not really doing that much. I think the real power from Hammond is not his like killing potential, but rather his distraction potential. His disruption from booping people around and getting people to focus him as he just rolls out of there with a million shields is just insane. Basically, you want to make sure that you're distracting, but you don't want to sit here and do this. So this is what I'm talking, this is something you shouldn't do. So you basically want to be as mobile as possible. You want to take fights when you can on squishy targets and people that are distracted and people that you know you can abuse and beat with your 600 health advantage plus shields. But what you don't want to be doing is you don't want to be here. See, for this situation, what am I doing? I'm on the ground, I have a slam, I'm left click shooting a Reinhardt shield. Hammond's damage potential is not going to get like any value by shooting at his shield. It does nothing. So right here, I'm having zero value. I'm having zero impact. And the Reinhardt, he doesn't even care. Look at him, he's looking over to the right. He's not looking at me. I have no effect right here. If you're not rolling around being like a Spider-Man kind of character and slamming on people and doing damage, then you're not having any value. You're not a frontline tank. You're not a Reinhardt. So don't do what I'm doing right here. You don't want to sit here and shoot at a shield. So as soon as I get my grapple, I'm just going to go into the backline and go for that slam. And I'm going to use my ult, I think. Using my ult as immediately as I get it, I think it's pretty good. Your ult has a pretty good potential for damage and kills. Right there, I get a kill on the Ana. But I think the best use of it is to probably just zone. It's probably one of the better zoning ults in the game, right? You use it on an objective. You use it when people are in an area or a choke point. For example, if I were to use my ult right here at this door, the enemy would be like, wow, I can't get through here. What's going to happen? They're just going to spend all of their time shooting the mines, and while that's happening, we could shoot into the door, and while that's happening, the payload's moving. So it's probably best used as a aerial denial ability. I think that's probably the best way to use it. I kind of stopped my momentum there. I don't think my grapple was in a very good spot. I really need to work on that. I think knowing Hammond is knowing what good grapples are and what bad grapples are. Because you notice when you're spinning, if you don't have the little like fire or yellow kind of thing on you, then that means your roll isn't going to do anything. So you want to make sure that whenever you're going to roll, you're not going to be bumping into things. So here I'm going to use my ultimate right next to the door, which is just going to completely zone people from coming out of here. It doesn't kill the Pharah, but it does a good chunk of her while she tries to get out. One of the things about your E, which is really nice, and I think a lot of people know this, is that you have a little counter right here. And depending on how many people are nearby, if it's 1 or 2 or 3, the shield's going to get bigger and bigger. And so one of the things you can look at is just look at this number and see how many people are nearby, and you want to go for the biggest shield possible. And what you can do with this shield is you can stick around and do a little bit more chip damage with the shield if you want, but I think it's better to just kind of use the shield to escape and basically guarantee an escape. One of the things I like to do with the shield is I like to save it for when I slam or when I get caught by an enemy. I never use the shields too aggressively. I use it for mainly escape purposes because I don't want to try and get too much damage. I mean, even if you have 600 health, you could be pretty surprised how easy it is to melt a Hammond who's, you know, sitting there trying to left click. You're a pretty big hitbox. I mean, you're just a big ball out there, so you have to keep that in mind. You're gonna feed some ult charge if you don't play Hammond, like, properly. And what I mean, you really gotta be, like, guerrilla warfare, run and gun style. You never want to sit in one place. You never want to commit to a kill. That's not your job. That's not what you're looking to do as Hammond. So one of the things I like to do here is I like to shield and then roll out immediately. Really good pulse bomb by my Tracer, but basically this is what you're going to look to do with Hammond. This is basically every engage ever for Hammond that you want to do. You want to use a grapple somewhere near the high ground, probably on a corner or something like that. You want to knock into as many people as you can. In this case, I'm able to knock one person and then slam as many people as possible. And then as soon as you land, you want to use your E ability. See right here, I have the 3. You can kind of barely see it there. And you want to use your E with as much people as possible, and you can get a good chunk of health, but you don't want to use your left click too much. I would stick around for maybe like a second and no more than that, and then I would immediately use my shift and roll out or use my grapple if it's off cooldown, and I wouldn't want to stick around and waste too much time. You never want to do that as Hammond. Especially if you notice they have a brig. Like in that situation, there is a brig who could stun me, which means that I'm kind of stuck there, and I don't want to be there for too long. So that's something you always keep in mind with Hammond. So another big thing I want to talk about, and this is going to happen much later in the game, but stall times and stalling in general is huge for Hammond. I'm sure everybody's been in a situation where you need to stall on the time on a payload or an objective in overtime. And if you don't have a Hammond, that is the time to swap to Hammond. Hammond is the perfect stalling hero. And the best way to do this is basically just grappling onto the payload, if it's a payload map. If it's not, then you're going to have to find something else. Generally, most maps have something you can payload onto. And you want to spin in just a complete circle. And you just want to go around and around and around. Use your shields, do some left click, and then just keep spinning around and around and use your ult whenever you can. And you'll be surprised just how long you can stall the cart. See, this situation is exactly what I'm talking about. The entire enemy team is grouped up. I think they have like, we're down what? We're down our main tank Genji and Ana. It's just me and Zenyatta basically. And they have a Rhine, Brig, Genji, Moira all on the cart. And a Roadhog. Their entire team is here. I think they're down 1 where we're missing like 3 or 4. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to grapple the payload and I'm just going to spin as long as I can just to buy time. And as you can see, I'm 94% to my ult. So as soon as I get my ult, I'm just going to go for it. And I'm just going to try and stay alive as big as possible. And if you get stuck by a wall, don't feel forced to like go into it. And here I'm going to use my mines as soon as I can too. One of the big things about the mines usage though, I think in this instance, if I already used my mines as soon as I get it, it would have been okay. So as soon as you use your ultimate, it's going to make your grapple go on cooldown, which means you're going to have to try and stay alive for like 5 seconds before you can start spinning on the objective again, which could be pretty hard to do. In this instance, I did have Transcendence, but it's kind of gonna last not long enough for me to do anything. As you can see, it's gone. I wouldn't have had the grapple up in that time, especially if a Brig stuns you. But I am glad that I was able to get the ult off, because I was able to stall, I think, long enough for my team to just, I mean, look at my Reinhardt. He just gets this biggest shatter off because they don't have a tank with any shield to block it, so he's just gonna get a full team wipe with it. And one of the things about Hammond too is, not only is he super good at, you know, stalling on the point, but I mean, look at his rollout. You just, bam, 1 second, and you're already there. Not only am I already there, I already knocked the Roadhog into one of my mines. As you can see, the Roadhog dies to my mine because I push him into it, and I come back at a super fast speed, I get a kill, and now I have my E ability to try and give me like a bunch of extra health, and then I can grapple on the payload again. Hammond is the perfect stall hero. Similar how to people are probably going to play like Mei in a lot of overtime situations, I think Hammond is probably a really good, if not best, pick for stall situations. Your potential to do damage and not get killed unless the enemy team has like a Sombra or something, I mean, it's insane. Now, I do think if you're playing Hammond right off the bat and you see that the enemy team is going into a Sombra, it might be time to switch. Sombra really counters Hammond. I've played against it before and it's just, you're gonna feed nonstop. I mean, Hammond, you kind of want to use smart feeds, but you don't want to use big feed. You don't want to actually feed, right? You want to act like you're feeding. Like right there, that was a feed. I almost escaped. You want to go in there and you want to kind of act like you're feeding, and you want to make the enemy team think, oh, this Hammond's going to die. I can kill him. Look how, like, where he's positioned. But then you're able to use your shields and grapple away in safety. And that's basically what the distraction is all about. In that instance, I got a kill. I have my grapple. I have my shields. Look at this situation. I think I'm at 1 HP. I'm just almost away. My Ana's not looking at me, which makes me really sad, but I do think that dive was pretty good. I mean, I got the Roadhog out of it. I think maybe I could have waited for my shield cooldown before I went in, and that would have been better. Maybe my Ana could have healed me, but I can't really sit there and blame my Ana. I have to look at myself and what I could have done better. And what I could have done better here, I could have clicked E. Although, you know, it looks like I almost would have lived 1 HP, right? Bam. Reaper got me from that distance. It's really unfortunate. So here what's going to happen is I'm just going to use my ult as soon as I can on this area in this tunnel, because that completely stops these two from being able to move, and especially because there's literally like 1 second before the payload. So this is a really good ult. I think this ult is going to completely deny this whole area, this whole choke point. As you can see, the enemy is just not going to be able to move through there, and I'm going to just focus down this McCree really easily. So overall, that was a pretty good round of Hammond. I think I did a few things pretty well, but I also think I have a lot of things to improve on. So some of the things that I think we can take away in summary. Hammond is definitely a disruptor tank, he can be a main tank, and he's very good at faking that he is feeding. I think he's a feeding tank, but you want to make sure to not actually feed. You want to give the illusion to the enemy team that you are killable, and then just get out of there at maximum speed and with a bunch of shields, and then the enemy team is like, wait, what just happened? And he actually got away from that, and they're going to get super tilted. And basically, you want to play Hammond as much as possible until the enemy team starts countering you. If the enemy team goes Sombra, it's probably time to swap, unless she's hacking other people. But I mean, once you get hacked as Hammond, it's tough, man. You really can't do much. So make sure to take that in consideration. Another thing about Hammond, you just want to try and use your grapple, get on his place somewhere really high, as high as you can, roll into an enemy if possible, and then slam on them. That's basically your combo. You want to do a little bit of left click damage. If there's a lot of people around you, use your shields, and then you just want to roll out of there or grapple out of there. Don't stick around. You want to stay there for basically like 3 seconds, maybe 5 if you can get a kill, and then just roll out of there with your grapple every single time. That's what you want to do. Don't try to commit yourself to a fight unless you know it's a high value target that you can get a kill on, because you can get back from spawn really quickly. But I would never try to do this on 2CP. 2CP defense, your priority is to stay alive, definitely. Getting picks is not valuable. Payload maps, King of the Hill maps, on those kind of maps, you can probably get away with it, but I would never try to do that on 2CP. Other than that, when you're looking to ult, you want to make sure to grapple, hit as many people as you can, use your ult first, and then slam, because then it's going to keep them in the air, because your mines have that like delay before they're activated, and that's what you're looking for when you do that combo. Anyways, that's all I have for today. Hopefully I gave a little bit of tips that are useful to those people who are looking to play Hammond. If there's any information that you guys have about Hammond, please share it below, because personally, I don't think I'm that great of a Hammond, but I am definitely trying to learn him. And I think Hammond has a real place in the future, especially as people start to figure him out, because he has a really high skill ceiling. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.